is complaining.
She's a corrupted mayor. We need our money back. We need our money back. Justice for cab drivers. Justice for cab drivers.
My name is Ali Asgar, and I'm a medallion holder. And since we bought the medallion, it's kind of nightmare. And we every day, every moment, we think maybe the city and they'll listen to us and they'll make that system better for us. Actually, there's no more money. I own the medallion. I pay the loan to every month, and I work day and night hard like a dog. I don't get anything, and I don't drive a taxi anymore. If I drive taxi, it's not worth it because first I pay the loan money, and then if I drive the taxi, then the other monster, they ask me $1,500, pay them to drive the taxi, the scheme color. So $3,000, how I'm gonna make $3,000 for them, and then how I'm gonna bring my kids food on the table. So we are disastered, we're stressed out, our dream is dead. So we need to get out of that system. We need our money back, and we need to have our family future, and we lost our future, sir. We lost our future for day and night, and I hope they listen to us, and I hope they know everything. They only just don't know how to give us a justice, how to be fair with us. There's no old school, and if there's old school taxi, why are they still putting us to the company and they charge the money from us? Everything is digital now. We don't need any companies, so we cannot survive. I work 24 hours around the clock to keep my family safe and protected, sir. And I hope they make the justice as soon as possible. We cannot survive anymore, and I really appreciate it for putting that on the air. So I hope somebody will listen and they will make the changes for us, and we need that changes very bad, sir. We are really suffering.
London Bridge, you hear us? We need our money back.
My name is Matt Sutter. I'm a purchaser of a medallion, taxi number 771 in San Francisco. And we're out here today because the city isn't supporting us. They didn't stop to Uber and Lyft, no regulations, and sold us medallions saying that we're having a good deal, and now we're in the weeds. They're not giving us anything in return. We've been fighting them for 5 years. The Board of Supervisors wrote a resolution to get the bank to come to the table. The bank doesn't want to negotiate. MTA doesn't want to negotiate. It's time to issue a bond and get us out of this mess. I mean, we're dealing with families' lives. A lot of people put their homes up for collateral, and it's a shame that the city of San Francisco lost compassion for people and families of San Francisco.
Well, the Uber and Lyft, it seems like they're representing them.
They are representing them. Ed Lee was definitely a part of Lyft and put the kibosh on any kind of thing going on for the taxis. And you know, I've been driving for 30 years. We're a big part of the community. I have elderly people I take care of. One lady, you know, can no longer walk, and I go in her house, take care of her, and shop for her. And it's just a shame that we're being forgotten.
And the city credit union, they made them loan to you?
Well, the credit union gave us the loan. The city put up the $50,000 down payment, which is malfeasance. You know, it's just malfeasance on their part. They sold us nothing. Our medallions are now worth zero, and they're basically just stealing our money. We're all paying interest, and we have nothing in return.
And you think this is part of the corruption in the city and county of San Francisco?
I think it's a big part of the corruption. I just think the citizens of San Francisco, the workforce is being forgotten. Everyone keeps feeding the tech industry and not thinking about the small people that made San Francisco what it is. I'm 6th generation San Franciscan. Where am I supposed to go?
And at the airport now, the 5th floor of the parking lot is Uber Lyft. They've taken that over. You think that this is who they're representing?
Well, the airport's always represented that, and so does the MTA. And the bad thing about it, during the pandemic and when the EDD was around, all the Uber and Lyft vanished. They weren't here to pick up people. Then what what happens. They're charging $140 to come to San Francisco. They want $60, $80 to go to Millbrae, Burlingame. Who picked up everybody? People were walking downstairs, waiting 20 minutes, and they didn't mind waiting because they just didn't want to get cheated anymore. People are tired of getting cheated from these tech companies. It sounds like a great deal. In the long run, it's us who pay for all the fees.
My name's Grasshopper Kaplan. I was a San Francisco taxi driver for decades, and they destroyed my business in 2007 when I ran for mayor of San Francisco. What they did, they said, oh, well, you're not a legal taxi driver, and then they filed charges against me for picking someone up claiming it was illegal. They destroyed my life and my taxi business, the Grasshopper Taxi Cab Company, first. Then Uber and Lyft hit the scene, and they destroyed everybody's taxi business, and I felt so bad because I'd already experienced all of this, and now I see it has happened to everybody. They've literally destroyed the taxi business. And I used to tell people, this is a very simple math issue. If you can do basic math, you can understand the problem. There is an infinite number of Uber and Lyft. There's no permit, that's a piece of paper. It's not even a medallion. They just, they get a piece of paper and then they drive and they pick people up like taxi drivers. And there's no limits. Infinite number of Uber, Lyft on the scene. They come in from Sacramento, from Dallas, from literally all around the country to drive in San Francisco where they know they can make money. And this has decimated the taxi business, which has a finite number of medallions. It might be about 2,000 or whatever it is. And that's the basic issue right there in a nutshell. And that's why it's totally illegal. What they did, they scammed drivers into buying $250,000 medallions while Uber and Lyft were already on the scene, which was illegal. When these fuckers first started, they were totally illegal. And then they said, oh, well, we changed the laws. Sort of like changing the definition of a vaccine. Oh, imagine that.
Okay.
Makes me so angry.
You think they were paid off by Uber and Lyft, these politicians?
Wasn't Ed Lee's daughter on Lyft for a while? Wasn't she the chief honcho? Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is a total scam from the start to the end. There'd never been nothing legal about it. They just changed the laws after the fact, like I just said. It's a total scam. Scam from the beginning to the end.
I'm Marcelo Fonseca. We are here. We don't think the city has been fair to the taxi industry. As you know, former Mayor Newsom introduced the medallion sales program, and as I mentioned to the Board of Supervisors, the medallion sales program is a human tragedy that can only be blamed on the city of San Francisco, and it's up to the city to make it right, but they are not making it right.
And who is the city officials representing, the MTA?
Well, the MTA, as you know, is our transportation agency, and the board is appointed by the mayor, and Mayor Breed has been silent.
You think she's under the control of the Uber and Lyft? That's who she's representing?
Well, the city has embraced Uber and Lyft. Late Mayor Lee proclaimed July 13 Lyft Day in San Francisco even before the CPUC had given them any legitimacy. So it is very clear the city embraced Uber and Lyft. At the same time, they were selling medallions. So we are here urging the city to give medallion purchasers debt relief. We are also urging the city to stop preying on their cab drivers. We are urging the city to have the MTA stop going after medallion holders who acquired their permits under prior rules. The taxi industry needs help, and medallion purchasers need debt relief, and the city is not doing much.
Oh, my name is Arasu. I had a medallion 478, and after I pay about 5 years, it's $86,000 that after I pay because of COVID-19, and they forced me to pay the same amount of money, but I asked them to lower it down, but they refused and they took my medallion. And I'm 68 years old, and I don't have any other to do. So this is unfair, especially to see it in America. If it was in another country, that was okay. But in America, the country has democracy and they help the poor and needy people. But now they do wrongly here. The city of San Francisco is really against us. I think the mayor, London Bridge, and so they are the one which trying to force us to give our medallion. It's almost a year now. They took my medallion, and I need my money back, and to be treated equally like any others. So it's.
What's your name?
My name is Admasu Tasamma Zelleke. Medallion number 478, yellow. I had that, but they took it unfairly. God bless.
My name is Peter. I'm a member of the San Francisco Taxi Workers Alliance. We are out here today to demand justice for taxi drivers. The city profited $63 million off of selling medallions to taxi drivers, while at the same time allowing Uber and Lyft to operate an illegal taxi industry on the streets of San Francisco, which unfortunately primed the gig economy to become what it is today. Uber and Lyft are horrible for workers, they are horrible for public safety and for climate change. They need to be regulated at a level equal with taxi drivers. We need a level playing field in the interest of workers and public safety and the environment. And taxi drivers who bought medallions from the city need a refund. These workers are going bankrupt, working under an unfair set of regulations that was set up by the city of San Francisco's negligence, and we want a refund.
Well, who does the city represent?
The city represents the MTA.
And how does the MTA operating?
The MTA is our regulator. They turned a blind eye to this situation when it started, which was kind of at the behest of the city. And at this point, they're just really not doing anything to help us. They're acting in their own interests right now to try and prop up their budget, and we need the MTA not to be in charge of how the medallion crisis in San Francisco gets solved, because the MTA is not going to act in the interest of workers.
And how does Uber and Lyft undermine public transit?
They're competing with public transit. In Uber's IPO statement, they openly declared their intention to compete with public transit. Taxis are part of public transit under the city charter. We are regulated by the same people that regulate the buses and streetcars in San Francisco, and we are a cooperative system that is designed to work with each other. Taxi cabs also provide the bulk of paratransit service for seniors and disabled, and we need to support everybody who needs to be able to get from point A to point B.
And public transit, like to the airport, is that being undermined? I mean, like the airport now, they have the fifth floor of the airport parking lot is for Uber and Lyft. Is that undermining BART?
Yeah, it's happening everywhere. Uber and Lyft, why are they even allowed to operate at the airport in the first place, right? The airport has tremendous power to decide who gets to operate on their grounds. They should create a level playing field at the airport. Anybody providing ground transportation services at the airport should have to have equal federal fingerprint background checks, equal vehicle inspections, equal trade dress on the outside of their vehicles, so people know what they're getting into when they try and go someplace.
Well, the chair of the SFO Commission is Larry Mazzola, senior from the Plumbers Union. What do they say about that? Because they're in charge of regulation.
We would like to know what Larry Mazzola, senior, has to say. Larry Mazzola is a hero of labor in San Francisco, and it would be wonderful if he put his weight behind doing the right thing to help cab drivers and to help all workers too, because the Uber and Lyft drivers out at the airport, they agree with a lot of what the demands are for taxi drivers. We need to limit the number of vehicles on the streets. The reason why the number of taxis was regulated in the first place was so that there was not be so much competition that workers cannot make a living wage. And the Uber and Lyft drivers are beginning to see that as well and realize that this is a broken system system, and we need to be working to limit the number of vehicles for everybody.
Slave labor, that's the conditions of the drivers?
I don't know if it's slave labor, but this has been compared to a system of indentured servitude for the people that bought medallions, because they bought the medallions and now they're just stuck working to pay off the loans for the city.
My name is Elias. I drive a cab since 2004, and since then I bought the medallion 2012. And the pandemic, of course, everybody is staying home. That time we don't go outside and make money. So they told me to foreclosure my medallion until since 2012. After 10 years later, they took my medallion. I got 3 kids. You know, this is not fair for us. You know, right now I don't have no job. So this is what the reason I'm here to protest my right.
And why is the city doing this?
They're doing this because they're corrupted. They don't understand, you know.
How are they corrupted?
They're corrupted because they want to steal our money. That's exactly what they're coming from, you know. We be here to do our job and do a service to our community. That's why we're here for this business to operate it. But finally, you know, they start to take in taxi medallion little by little, and then they try to make it us like corrupted the business and let everybody, you know, left the job. That's exactly what they try to do right now.
My name is Firewerkle. So I've been driving a cab since 2003, like for a long time. So we have hoping to, you know, make a money when we get like this medallion when they advertise to sold for us. The first thing is I'm very disagree because the city must be protected our business. So the first problem is in this city is the way I see is the Uber. The Uber, at least they can do the number, you know, control, but they don't do it. Because of that, this medallion is on the out there to sold, you know, so they are not controlled the medallion numbers and the Uber numbers. So the Uber numbers is thousands and the medallion is hundreds. Plus, they divided the medallions name like K. That's the solution for on the side, but it's not really. We're supposed to be not sold or to protect our business. So they don't protect at all. So that's why.
So they're protecting Uber and Lyft?
They do. That's honestly because, you know, when you see, like, for example, you know, there is the diamond lane for red carpet that they talking about for taxi and for bus, but that's not exactly happening. You know, now who's dropping there? The Uber and Lyft. They are everywhere. So that's a problem. But my solution is I see they should do, you know, return our money and then put us at the back for retirement, our medallion. You know, it's not like a relief or like half price. Because, you know, we live in the life, they live in a life, in the office, in the MTA, in the city hall, everybody has their own life. So they should do, in my opinion, they should give up, and then they have to, you know, forgiveness for us, everything, and return the medallion for retirement plan. That's my solution.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm Mark Ruberg. I'm a board member of the San Francisco Taxi Workers Alliance. And this is a protest to call upon the MTA and the city to do right by medallion holders, taxi medallion holders who purchased their medallions from San Francisco for $250,000. Many of them having waited for 15 years or more for a medallion, which they would not have had to pay for. And then the city deserted them, abandoned them, embraced Uber and Lyft. And the consequence is there have been over 300 foreclosures of these medallions. Drivers are hurting, drivers are starving, drivers are finding it impossible to pay their bills, and the city has to pay them back. San Francisco made, by their own accounting, over $63 million from the sale of medallions. And the time has come that they have to do the right thing and pay these medallion holders back.
Who is the city representing? Why is the city attorney, Dennis Herrera, and others fighting the demand for justice?
We have approached the city attorney's office and everybody in city government about this issue, and they have been unresponsive. I think they just don't want to have to take any money out of their pockets. It's a callous, cruel policy that they instituted, and they won't take responsibility for it.
Well, Uber and Lyft have not been regulated. In fact, the parking lot at San Francisco SFO 5th floor is totally Uber Lyft. How have they discriminated against the regulated taxi cab drivers versus Uber and Lyft?
Well, Uber and Lyft have far fewer regulations to follow than we do. As a result, taxis are a much safer form of transportation than Uber and Lyft. But the California Public Utilities Commission, which regulates them, refuses to do serious regulation. They just won't do it. And so we're at a disadvantage. And we're also at a disadvantage because these companies have been losing literally billions of dollars. They're subsidizing the rates that the passengers pay, and it's impossible to compete when you have that kind of competition.
Justice for taxi drivers!